When I get to that door and I knock, I'm like, God, please help me serve this client to the highest of my abilities, and walk in there, shake their hands, and start with that framework. I'm not performing, I'm here to serve. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. This is the number one way you're botching your initial phone calls. I got to say, contractors, initial phone calls are one of the most important touch points you'll have with any customer. To get deep into what they want to have done, make sure they're a good fit. This is a critical time of your journey with your customer. But if you do this one thing, you will destroy connection and you will be blowing good leads away. You'll just be knocking them right out of the way. And the crazy part is you're going to be thinking, you know what? I think maybe my marketing company sucks and they keep sending me bad leads. No. Now, sometimes that happens, but that's not always the problem. Oftentimes the problem is simple. You talk too much and you listen too little. It's time to shut your mouth. Start asking great questions. That's what really opens people up. It's them feeling like you care by asking great questions, becoming that detective and cracking the case. That's what it's about. So imagine this. You pull into the driveway ready to sell. You start talking the second you open your door because the customer's standing there next to the driveway. You just start talking about premium materials, your process, your portfolio, how great you are. And their eyes just glaze over, right? They polite nod. They are polite and they nod and they give you lots of false yeses. And they're like, man, there's no way I'm working with this guy. Nope. He's out here. I'm just going to get a quote from him and see what's going on, because you just show up this ball of sound coming at your customer thinking, and a lot of contractors do this, but they think it's because they're in a performance, that when they get there, the goal is to fill space with sound and to be the one doing most of it. Because if they talk the most, therefore they would be the smartest, because it's the easiest way to convey things, right? So you're smart and you're sharing all of your ideas and your thoughts and how professional you are and your nice truck and shirts and all of that stuff. The customer is immediately disconnected from that. And you know what? They're not going to say, get out of my house, get off my land, you suck. They're not going to say those things. They're going to nod politely and they're going to say yes and then never get back to you. That's how this works. You think you're building trust, but really what you're doing is building a gap. You're really providing a performance, and you're performing for that customer. And customers don't want performances. What they want is guides. They want somebody who's going to take them from where they are to where they want to go. And that doesn't happen unless there's a lot of questions that are asked. Questions are so important. So if this is hitting you hard and you're thinking like, I'm the guy that jumps out of the car and talks a lot like I used to, and you think, man, I see a lot of guys doing this. Like they just get out and start talking, or they shake hands and immediately start talking. I'm offering you the opportunity to change the way you do this so that you can be more effective and get a much higher closing rate, because this is as simple as it gets. If you talk less, you'll close more. Yeah, if you talk less, you'll close more. And that might sound completely backwards to everything you've ever been taught about sales, but bear with me here, because as you're going to learn through this course, you're going to learn how to ask a few good questions, let your customers do all the talking, and you're just going to be taking notes like crazy. You know exactly by the end of that conversation, you should have enough information to be able to design their outdoor space exactly the way they want it. And they didn't even know that they gave you all that information. And the last two contractors never even asked for it. And they're the ones that are providing bids, hoping to win, and they fight for the lowest one, where you have the highest bid, the most expensive option for the customer, and you're the one that's top on their list of who they want to hire. Because remember, the people don't spend their last $20 in outdoor living. People have money sitting aside for this. They just need to see the value that you provide in order to move forward with this, that they can say spending more makes sense for them. But if you're talking constantly and not asking them great questions, you're losing a great opportunity to be able to serve this client in a way that they're going to get the maximum use and benefit from a space, and that they're actually going to connect with you and your company and create a great referral machine long-term for you. So the real problem is that you think you're building trust, but you're not when you're talking too much. Now, by the time you actually had, if you're talking too much and you finally do ask a question, by the time you do, it's too late. The client's already glazed over, conversation's flat, the energy's off, and this whole thing was like, oh crap, Now what? What am I going to do now? Now they have to think about it. That's because they just won't say, dude, you just won't stop talking. You didn't ask anything about me. All you've done is talked about how great you are. And nobody likes to hear that. Unfortunately, nobody likes to hear that. Even if you are really good at what you do, nobody cares. They don't want to hear you in a performance tell them about it. They want you to demonstrate it through great systems, through great experiences, and by asking great questions. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have you understand some of the brutal truth about what happens, and you're not losing because of your craftsmanship. We've talked about that before. You're losing because you never uncover their why. Talk so much, it's easier just to kind of cast out or project your ideas as opposed to stopping and being open for them to be received from the customer's point of view, to let them be received. So slow down. It's very important that you don't do that. Get deeper into their why. And if you ask too little, you'll never get there. The customer won't hire you. And stop thinking about performing. Like if you go to the front door of somebody's house and you knock on that door and you feel your heart pounding in your chest and you're thinking, man, I always get excited, nervous as heck. The anxiety is going up. You know why that happens? It took me years to figure this out. The reason why, because when I knock on a door and I'd walk into somebody's house, I felt like I was walking on stage, some kind of performance, and I needed to be just perfect, and everything had to be just right. I had to say the right things, do the right things, offer the right options. I was performing. And when I shifted that story in my head and said, you know what? I'm not performing anymore. When I get to that door and I knock, I'm like, God, please help me serve this client to the highest of my abilities. And walk in there, shake their hands, and start with that framework. I'm not performing, I'm here to serve. That shift alone will change everything and how you show up to sell. It is so important for you to know that you're not putting on a performance, that you're there to serve. So the fix is quite simple. So simple, actually. Lead with curiosity, not constantly trying to say how great you are, leading with credentials or how amazing all your trucks are. Lead with questions. Questions like, what inspired you to reach out now? Silence. Let them fill in the gaps. If they don't answer, silence. They will answer. You're going to be amazed by the responses that you get from customers when you give them space to talk. What inspired you to reach out now? Let them talk. You can ask other probing questions around their response. You're there as a detective just to take notes and understand. Ask great questions. What would make this a dream space for you and your family? Quiet. Let them speak. Make sure you're engaging both decision makers, husband, wife, whatever the dynamic. Make sure you're engaging them both. If one talks all the time, don't just always listen to that one because you think the spouse has something else to say. Of course they do. And when you engage them, it shows that you care. So engage them. Make sure you're conscious and aware enough. When you're moving through this conversation, you're asking questions like, what would make this a dream space for you and your family? And have both of them engaged. You're going to throw ideas in there. It's going to be a beautiful pot of things at the end. Then you can understand which are the most and the highest priorities. We actually help you walk through that in our processes. Getting to the core, we call it hot button. What is the most important part of what they're talking about? What would make, this is like the nucleus of the project. You take this one piece out of the project, maybe it's the patio or the deck or the pool or the pergola. You take that out of the project, there is no project. We need to understand what that is and find that early in our process. So what would make this a dream space for your family? Let's just listen to what, and they're most likely not going to just be feature based. And if they are, we have to probe a little different. Okay, well, you mentioned a patio. Tell me about how this patio is going to be, create a space for your family that's going to be just amazing. And then eventually that you start working their emotions in, because not everybody's skilled at going right to emotions, especially working with a contractor. So it's very important for us to be thinking, okay, great questions. And here's another one. I love this question. It's such a good question to ask. It gives you a sense of what the client is really shooting for when it comes to relationship with you as the potential other contractor or designer in the project. What didn't go well with your last contractor? Big old question. And be silent. What didn't go well with your last contractor? Most homeowners have many stories of contractors where where projects didn't go very well. And what's really nice is to get a sense of what they are. If your customer says something like, well, the last guy, he showed up on time, he hit budget, he's a really great guy to work with, and you know what, but we just don't like him at all. Like, well, that never happens, right? That's not usually the response. The response from most homeowners when they talk about contractor experiences, either they were over budget, they didn't show up, they did shoddy work, they were in and out like an hour a day for a year, they left the property in shambles, they parked everywhere they shouldn't have, they left cigarette butts. Like, there's always complaints. Now, when we get those complaints from the customer, you can think, okay, is my company any different? Do we do those same things? Because if you do, then that could be a big problem for that customer. But if you don't, if everything they've listed about most contractors you don't do, or you have never done, then you're like, you know what, there might be a good fit here. And you don't have to go on to tell the customer, well, you know what, we don't do any of those things, we're the best. Because you know what they're going to think? Yeah, sure, that's what everybody else told me too. A simple response is, got it, okay, and move on. It's that simple. You don't need to go deeper. You don't need to justify. You don't need to reinforce what they've said. Got it. Okay. Move on. So those 3 questions will help a lot. What inspired you to reach out now? What would make this a dream space for your family? And what didn't go well with your last contractor? This will give you such insight. These are 3 simple questions, but that'll give you such insight into knowing what's going on. Because when you talk too much, you lose trust before you even get the opportunity to earn it. Customers don't like that. What they want is someone who actually cares and asks good questions. So this is a big one. This is a shift for a lot of contractors out there. A lot of them have been told they have to be the smartest ones and the ones that talk the most. And I'm here to say that is all BS. We have to know what we're doing. We have to be good at our trade and be very skillful. But we first need to know where to direct all of that. And the way we direct it is by understanding what the client truly needs, wants, and desires. What's their pain points? What does success look like for them? And what does an experience look like that they don't want to repeat that they've had in the past? This all gives us great information to be able to create that environment for the client to succeed and for you to succeed as well. So these 3 powerful questions, if you can put these 3 powerful questions into your communication with your next customer, your next initial call, you're going to learn so much. But remember, your mind is going to want to assume again. Oh yeah, they said this, so it must mean that. They said they want a paver patio, so it must mean square. They said they wanted this, so it must mean that. Be careful, because 99% of the time when you assume, you're wrong. So don't assume. Ask more questions. Go deeper. This is supposed to be fun. And the clients will open up like a flower. And the next thing you know, you will have not just a higher probability of closing the project, but a higher probability of building a relationship that is fruitful for many, many years to come. Because remember, most of your clients have neighbors and friends. And when they have all of that and you do a great job, more than they expected, and you ask good questions and they know that your experience, what they experienced with you is different than that last contractor who took advantage of them. Boy, they can't wait to tell people about it. And when they do, you'll be the first words in their mouth. You'll be the first one they recommend when they're walking around this amazing space. Like, who did this? Well, XYZ company did this. It was amazing. They asked me good questions. This isn't even what I thought I needed in the beginning. But now, after they asked me these questions, I understand what I needed truly. And I was like, man, we took half the things out and added a bunch more stuff in. Didn't even know it. We only wanted to spend 25 grand, but now we've spent 60 because this is exactly what we always wanted, but never knew we needed. This is our jobs as guides, is to do exactly that, to help empower our clients to make great decisions. Sometimes that brings budget up. Sometimes it brings budget down. It's okay. It's about the truth always. So if you ask these 3 questions and put them in your customer experience bucket, especially for your initial calls, it's going to give you vastly more information to be able to know if this client is really a good fit for you. Because if it's not, you need to let them go now instead of holding on hope that someday it might work out. But when they line up and the questions are answered well and you're like, this is a good fit, it's worth putting your time into. So guys, appreciate you watching this. I've got lots more coming. Buckle up. It's going to get a lot more interesting. What if you could close 75% of your projects without chasing, convincing, or dropping your price? That's not a dream. That's the mission. Mission 75. Here at Yes Express Sales Academy, we are spearheading a bold shift to help outdoor living contractors sell with confidence, not desperation. Because let's be real, you've been told to just give them a good price and hope for the best. You've been trained to beg for work and give away your time and compete with contractors who don't even play at your level. That ends now. I wrote the Core 10 sales playbook because it's the system I desperately needed 20 years ago. It's built for real-world, design-build contractors, not guys in suits. Inside, I'll show you how to qualify leads in minutes, speak to emotion, not features, cut confusion and eliminate ghosting, lead the sales call with calm authority, and close premium jobs without flinching. That book drops in January 2026. Check out the show notes to get on the list to be the first in line to grab your copy of the Core 10 Sales Playbook before they're gone. This isn't about working harder, it's about selling smarter, and it starts now. Let's raise the standard together.